the hardness, different apparatus and different instruments they are used here. And next one, friability, weight variation, drug content. All these topics are covered in the previous session. And today's session is completely the important part, disintegration and dissolution aspects. So all the slides are already discussed. So the general appearance, basically the important word here, the elegance, and the organoleptic properties like the color, order, and the taste, and the unique identification based on the symbol or maybe a color, okay, and the company name, and the size and shape with the help of the instrument like the micrometer and sliding capillary scale, and the unofficial test thickness. So these are the various tablet shapes and the view of regarding that, and the tensile strength and brittle fracture index and hardness, different types of equipments like Monsanto, Strongkop, and Pfizer, Ervica, and Schellinger. So these are the quality control tests for the tablets, like in case of hardness. And friability, the Roche fibrillator, and weight variation test is completely the how much of during shipment and transportation conditions, and the content uniformity. And it is one of the friability test apparatus. It's a single drum and the double drum available. So based on the need and other type, the different types of Roche fibrillator apparatus are available. So it's one of the mode of apparator. It's a double drum apparator, and it is one of the hardness tester. Okay, so the company manufactured it as Lab India. So Lab India tablets hardness tester. And the most important one is photosensitivity. So some of the drugs are not withstand during the sunlight or other atmospheric conditions. So the product may get changed and the color degradation is observed. So it's completely what are the tablets that are kept in amber colored bottles. Okay, so the tablets are to be kept in the sunlight for a specific period of time, so that whatever the color change, it should be avoided. So if any changes of the color is observed, so that to be noted with the help of an assay method or the drug content. So based on that information, we have to develop or recreate the formulation. Okay, so the photosensitivity activity is very important in case of the chemical degradation part. Okay, so next one is the loss on drying. Here, the drying part, the moisture content, whatever that is present, is somewhat necessary. Okay, so excess amount of the moisture that is present in the tablet, which leads to the degradation and contamination of with the help of microorganisms. So we have to prevent the moisture contents. How much percent of moisture that is required? It is sufficient in the presence of tablet. So the required numbers of tablets are to be taken, right? Like maybe 5 tablets or maybe 10 tablets. So the required number of tablets are to be taken and crushed, and the powder are to be taken to determine the moisture content in that tablet with the help of either hot air oven or maybe a vacuum oven or maybe dryer. So depend upon the nature of the drug that is present in the dosage form, we can calculate loss on drying. Okay, so completely it refers to the moisture content of the tablet. Okay, so maybe amount of moisture that is present in the granules is an effective part in compression process. Also, if excess or maybe below amount of moisture that is present in a tablet, it should create in case of during compression process. And also some amount of moisture is removed due to heat generated in the compression process. So loss on drying, it completely the moisture content present in the tablet. So it creates a problem during the compression process. So excess amount of the moisture that is present in granules. So clumsy and other improper tablet formation is observed if the moisture content is maybe above or maybe below is present in the tablet form. So some amount of moisture is removed due to heat generated in the process of compression of a tablet. So the moisture content is very helpful to determine the how much amount of moisture that is present in the tablet. So it is an important parameter. So loss on drying, it completely refers to the moisture content of the tablet. Okay, so limited amount of moisture that is present in the granules is needed to produce in case of the tablet compression process. And next one is whatever the residual amount or moisture that is present, moisture content that is present in the tablet is usually within the 1% ratio. Okay, so whatever the test that is done by using either maybe hot air oven or a vacuum dryer, simply the hygroscopic materials or maybe thermolabile metal materials completely studied with the help of either hot air oven or vacuum dryer or maybe an IR moisture balance. So based on these equipments, we can easily determine the moisture content of the tablet. So what's the procedure to determine the moisture content that is present in a tablet? Generally, the pressure required amount of powder tablets are to be crushed and taken in powder form, right? So apart from that, so generally 1 to 2 grams of powder tablet is taken and weighed the tablet powder. So whatever the tablet that is placed in a bottle. Okay, so the bottle is put in a dryer at 100 degrees temperature. So in case of either maybe hot air oven, temperature is required for that is 100 degrees centigrade. Or if it is a instrument is a vacuum dryer, here the temperature is 60 degrees centigrade. So unless otherwise, whatever the specified temperatures and specified equipment. So on that case only, we have to follow the specified standard values and temperature conditions so that whatever the powder that we crushed, that will be placed in a tail weighing bottle, and the bottle is placed in suitable equipment like either hot air oven or maybe vacuum dryer. Okay, so which is exposed for nearly 2 hours. Okay, so initial weight, and after the drying process is completed, we have reweighed the powder sample. So if any deviations is observed or it may be any losses, so the bottle is weighed and the loss in weight is calculated. So completely we can determine the loss on drying. Okay, and the most important part in evaluation part of tablet is disintegration and dissolution. Okay, so the disintegration part. So the disintegration time is very important in most of the dosage forms, solid dosage forms, especially the tablets and capsules. Okay, so why it is necessary to determine the disintegration test for a tablet? So if the disintegration is completely shows a quick onset of property. Okay, so the disintegration is very important one in part of absorption and the therapeutic efficacy of the drug. So disintegration plays an important role in absorption and the therapeutic activity of the drug. Okay, if it's completely shown quickly, whatever the tablet that breaks into the smaller particles like the granules. Okay, so which if the particle size is less, the surface area is high, so that the availability of the drug is easy. So the absorption part and the dissolution part is increases simultaneously. Okay, so why is the disintegration of a tablet is very important? So the disintegration test is very important for the solid dosage forms like the tablets and capsules. So based on the disintegration test, it's not incomplete information given to the formulation development department. Okay, it's a simple test and it gives a minor information. Okay, so it's an other alternative method. Okay, so the disintegration test is used to show how the tablet breaks into the smaller particles in a given solvent system, which allows for a greater surface area and completely in the part of bioavailability of the drug when taken by a patient. So the definition itself says that any residue of the inactive part, like the fragments like of insoluble coating or a capsule shell, remaining all the particles, okay, whatever that are placed in a test apparatus of the disintegration, they are adhered to the surface and completely determine the disintegration one. Okay, so the definition part is include that whatever the tablet that is placed in a dissolution medium, it breaks into smaller particles. Okay, so that is simply called a disintegration of a tablet. The time required for the tablet to break into particles. So this disintegration test is a measure only for the time required in a given set of conditions, so that whatever the disintegrated particles, either in case of granules, so the lumps and the granules are finally changed into fine particles that finally followed to the dissolution part. Okay, so it completely refers to it's a mechanical breakup of whatever the compressed tablet into small granules with the help of an injection, so that whatever the tablet in a compact nature, they can break down into smaller particles with the help of interparticular bonds. Okay, so what is the difference between the disintegration and the decomposition? So is it any difference that is observed in case of disintegration and decomposition? Disintegration means the tablet, it completely split into particles in case of granules without any change in their chemical constituents. So simply it is called disintegration. But in case of decomposition, it has observed that the changes that is made in chemical constituents, okay, so that is called the decomposition. Without any chemical changes, the tablet get break down into smaller particles and shows its activity and increases the absorption and bioavailability of the drug when it is taken by the patient. It is called disintegration. And the changes, whatever that takes place with changes in the chemical constituents, that is simply called decomposition. It decreases the activity of the drug and also it shows the adverse effects. Okay, so disintegration and decomposition, both are different. So this is the disintegration test apparatus. Simply, the definition is the time required for the tablet to break into smaller particles like granules. Okay, so simply having 6 glass tubes, which is having the diameter of 3 inches, and the mesh screen is placed at the bottom of the 6 glass tubes, and we have to maintain the temperature, that is 37 degrees plus or minus 2 degrees variation, and speed is completely 29 to 32 frequency rotations per minute. Okay, here the medium generally distilled water and also stimulated gastric fluids like acetic acid. Okay, acetic acid like pH 1.2, and also stimulated intestinal fluids like phosphate buffers like 7.4 or maybe 7.2. So based on the formulation need, whatever the formulation, that is solubility nature, so we can select the disintegration medium. Okay, only 6 glass tubes that are placed with 3 inches size and 10 mesh screen and placed at the bottom, and the temperature having 37 plus or minus 2 degrees variance. So temperature is very important here. And this is the diagrammatic shows that the disintegration apparatus, which is having 6 tubes with 3 inches. It is made up of 3 inches size, and the green one is shown as the plastic disc type that is placed on the during the disintegration process, because the floating of the tablets over the glass tubes is to be avoided by adding of these plastic round discs. Okay, so taking the disintegration apparatus, the glass size basket A and basket B. So 2 types are available, basket A and basket B. So the bottom, whatever the mesh that is observed here, it is 10 mesh screen that is placed at the bottom. Okay, so whatever the tablet that is to be disintegrated, that is placed in the disintegration apparatus. And it is the overview, a diagrammatic representation, standard that is according to USP, the disintegration test apparatus, the shaft which is rotated at 29 to 32 cycles per minute, and the disintegration vessel of diameter is made up of 20.7 to 23 mm, and the mesh is placed a wire mesh at lower surface of the disintegration vessel. So based on that, the tablet is completely, whenever contact to the solution, the tablet gets started into smaller particles, like disintegration is started. Okay, the disintegration medium at 37 degrees plus or minus 2 degrees variation. So it is an water bath at 37 degrees temperature. So within the basket, within the beaker or water bath, how the dissolution and disintegration vessels are arranged within the basket. So it's completely, the disintegration is various according to the classification of the tablets. So based on the tablets, the disintegration part and their nature and the time is somewhat varies. Okay, according to USP, the method, whatever to be followed for the uncoated tablets. If 1 or 2 tablets are placed from the 6 tablets, if we take 6 tablets, among them 1 or 2 tablets are to be failed within, that is not placed within the limits. Okay, the whole test will consume the total 18 tablets. So repetition of the test. So total 18 tablets, not less than 16 tablets that disintegrate completely within the 30 minutes time. Okay, the uncoated tablets. Okay, disintegration test starts on based on 6 tablets. If these 6 tablets, among the 6 tablets, if 1 or 2 tablets are maybe failed to complete the disintegration process within 30 minutes, we can repeat the same test with another 6 tablets. Okay, so continuously 3 stages are to be observed here. Okay, and similarly for the coated tablets, to remove or dissolve the coat which is placed in the disintegration apparatus with the help of distilled water, so that completely done within the time for 5 minutes. And next we have to change the distilled water with the help with hydrochloric acid for 30 minutes at that 7 degrees centigrade according to the United States Pharmaceutical. And what when we are taking the tablet through oral, okay, so the bioavailability and biopredicted tablet disintegration is observed in this flowchart. Okay, so it's an effect of water diffusivity, and fluid flow based on the food composition and the test conditions that is observed in case of in vivo part. How the tablet is disintegrated when we are taken orally. It's an in vivo method. Okay, the food composition, whatever the tablet, that first it takes the water, that is water uptake, and then different mechanisms were observed. But one is the static tablet disintegration is observed, and also the dynamic part of the tablet disintegration. Okay, and water diffusivity can take place here, and a thin film formation at the tablet surface, and the viscosity. So all these factors are responsible to predict the tablet disintegration in case of food compositions. Okay, and next one, the disintegration mechanisms and their measurement techniques. Once we are taking the tablet, it may be a slower rate of the drug dissolution or finally get it first into the disintegration part. Like the tablet gets split into smaller particles like granules. Okay, so the smaller particles or moderate rate of granules get incorporated as acts as involved into drug dissolution process, and the drug dissolution started, the drug in solution in the GI fluids when completely undergoes the absorption process and finally that enters into the bloodstream. If some of the particles or granules get deaggregation, finally they are divided into small particles. So primary drug particles are get rapidly increases the rate of drug dissolution process. And finally, that particles also entered into the drug solution in gastric fluids. And finally, the absorption part is done. And the last one is the blood circulation. And the temperature is also plays an important role in case of tablet disintegration. When we are taking the tablet, like some of the people are taking the tablet in with the help of cold water or chilled water or maybe a cool drink. So it's not a good sign to take the tablet. So mostly warm water is sufficient to take the tablet. Okay, so the biorelevant point of view here observed is the co-ingested part with the whatever the tablet that is incorporated with the help of cold or hot drink. Okay, so it induces the transient variations like the gastric emptying time and the absorption pattern is somewhat delay. Okay, so based on that, temperature in the range of 23 degrees centigrade to 41 degrees centigrade have shows the positive effect of drug disintegration. Okay, and next one, advancing activity, the disintegration phenomena. These are the mechanisms which observed here. The first one mechanism, whatever the drug, either diffusion or erosion, and the influence of storage condition, stability aspects, and influence of formulation, and the influence of process variabilities, addition of lubricants, disintegrants, okay, and also influence of medium, gastric fluids and intestinal fluids can delay the drug tablet disintegration process. Okay, so all these mechanisms are involved in disintegration process. Simply the disintegration is break down the tablet into smaller granules. If the hardness is increased, okay, the amount of binders, the concentration of binders increases or when hardness is increased, it finally delay the disintegration time, and simultaneously dissolution process is also slow, the absorption part is very low, and also the therapeutic activity is also very less. So the hardness and amount of binder concentration which is very plays a key role in disintegration time of a tablet. So these are the limits and the medium, different types of tablets and the disintegration medium along with the time. For uncoated tablets, we are taking the water as a dissolution medium, and the uncoated tablets are disintegrated. It's a breakdown of the tablets into granules within the 15 minutes. The film coated tablets are disintegrate within the 30 minutes time. Okay, the sugar coated are disintegrated in 16 minutes time interval, and enteric coated here in the case of 0.1 normal HCl in the acidic nature, 1 hour is to be taken, and undermining part the phosphate buffers like 6.8 pH, and it takes under 2 hours in the intestinal fluid to disintegrate the complete particles. And this is the comparison of disintegration times according to the compendials like IP, BP, USP. So the 15 minutes time in IP and BP for the uncoated type of tablet. In case of USP, it takes only 5 minutes time interval. And if the type of tablet is coated, in IP, it takes 16 minutes time. In BP, it takes the 30 minutes time interval. So Indian pharmacopoeia, British pharmacopoeia, and United States pharmacopoeia, these are the different time intervals to disintegrate the tablet of different type of tablets formulations, either enter-coated dispersible tablets, filling, or uncoated tablets. And this is the medium and maintenance of the temperature and the limits that is followed in case of BP. Okay, so these are the British pharmacopoeial standards for the disintegration time test. Normal release tablets like the uncoated tablets. Okay, so here the medium is a water or buffer. The temperature maintained here is that 7 degrees plus or minus 2 degrees variation. Within 15 minutes, the drug got completely disintegrated with this, and it is specified in the monograph. And also sugar-coated tablets, either with the help of water or 0.1 normal HCl. Both a temperature is same. Within 16 minutes, it should be disintegrated. And film-coated tablets, 13 minutes time interval. And dispersible tablets, saying 15 to 25 degrees temperature is sufficient within 3 minutes. Okay, the oral dispersible tablets and the dispersible tablets. So dispersible tablet, fast dissolving tablets are easily within 3 minutes time, and also effervescent tablets. Here 200 ml of warm stated water is to be taken with a temperature of 15 to 25 degrees centigrade. Within span of 5 minutes, the drug gets disintegrated into fine particles. And also according to USP, the sublingual tablets and buccal tablets are the limited value is after 4 hours it gets started the disintegration time. Okay, so and also delayed release or entry coated tablets within after 1 hour and other delay part, it completely disintegrate the tablet. And this is the comparison table, shows the comparison between, already it said, but it's a brief disintegration time interval for all the formulation categories of the tablet and LD that is present in the, which is mentioned in different compendiums like IP, BP, and USP. Okay, so the uncoated tablets, simply 15 minutes is sufficient, and 5 to 30 minutes in case of USP based. Okay, the soluble tablets within 3 minutes it get concluded. The oral dispersible tablets it take only 3 minutes time interval, and oral lyophilizate tablets are taken in part of BP. 3 minutes time interval is sufficient to disintegrate into fine particles. So next one is dissolution test apparatus. It also plays an important role, and here the completion of disintegration. Whatever the tablet that should be disintegrated into smaller granules. So whatever the granules that enter into a solution, the fine particles are completely solubilized or dispersed into a given solvent system. Okay, so dissolution is the process by which a solid solute or solute molecules enter into a given solution. Okay, so in this regard, whatever the drug substances, the amount of drug that is dispersed, the amount of drug substance that goes into solution per unit time with specific conditions like it's a solid or liquid interface, along with the temperature and solvent composition. The solid substances dissolve or enters into a given solution. Okay, so it's one of the most important quality control tests that is performed on pharmaceutical dosage forms, either maybe tablet or maybe capsule or maybe suspension. So dissolution is considered as one of the most important quality control tests performed on pharmaceutical dosage forms. Okay, so it predicts the bioavailability of the drug. So bioavailability is nothing but the rate and extent of the drug, nothing but speed and amount of the drug that reaches to the systemic circulation in an unchanged form. So it's completely helpful to study the determining of bioequivalent activity. Okay, so the resolution is considered as one of the most important quality control in case of pharmaceutical dosage forms. So the dissolution behavior of drug has a significant effect on the pharmacological activity, like simply therapeutic activity. Okay, it's a direct relationship between in vitro dissolution rate and the bioavailability of the drug, that is simply called in vitro in vivo correlations. So in part that apart from that, the drug dissolution is completely depends upon the drug's aqueous solubility and its dissolution rate. So the drug aqueous solubility or maybe absolute or intrinsic solubility is nothing but the maximum amount of solute that is dissolved in a given solvent under specific conditions like the temperature, pressure, and the pH. It is completely a static property. So the dissolution rate is defined as whatever the solid substance is. Okay, so the amount of solid substances that goes into solution per unit time under standard conditions of temperature, pH, and solvent composition, and also the constant solid surface area. So solid molecules that enter into a given solvent is simply called the dissolution. So amount of solid substances that goes into the solution per unit time under standard conditions, that is called the dissolution rate. It's a dynamic process. Okay, several drugs have poor aqueous solubility to the dissolution rate is low. Okay, so however, the examples are explained. So it contributes mainly two reasons. One is the rapid rate of dissolution to predict the low intrinsic solubility factor, and another based on the low dissolution property, the therapeutic activity of the drug may also decreased. So these are the two basic properties. One is the rapid rate of dissolution and therapeutic activity of the drug, which is insufficient. So these are the two attributes that are observed here. So one is the rapid rate of dissolution with low intrinsic solubility and therapeutic dose of the drug, which may be small in case of gastrointestinal transit time. So it gives the adequate dissolution and absorption property. So the absolute solubility is dynamic process of the drug dissolution, which completely a better one to get the drug absorbed more and shows the bioavailability part. Okay, so what are the solid substances that is solubilizes in a given solvent is called dissolution. Simply mass transfer from solid surface to the liquid phase, it is called dissolution. Okay, so disintegration is simply breakdown of tablet into smaller particles like granules is called disintegration. Dissolution, mass transfer from the solid surface to the liquid surface is called dissolution. Okay, so it's completely based on the basis classification system. Class 1, 2, 3, and 4. So most of the drugs, most of the activities that are observed here in class 2 and class 3 drugs. So class 1, it shows high solubility and high permeability. It is well absorbed orally. So neither solubility nor permeability limitations is not observed here. And class 2 drugs, it's having low solubility with high permeability nature. Okay, the class 3 drugs, it's an high solubility with low permeability. It shows a minor variations in the absorption property, and the permeation limitation is observed here. And class 4 drugs are poorly soluble drugs orally, and also both the solubility and permeability limitations are very low. Okay, so it's completely based on the BCS classification system. The get is easily soluble or not, we can easily predict it. Okay, so in vitro dissolution testing methods are affected, and designing of the dissolution test apparatus, several factors are to be affected. The first one is factors related to the dissolution apparatus, like the design, size, and shape of the container, the hesitation speed, and also nature of hesitation, either maybe a stirring or rotating or maybe an oscillating method. So based on that, the dissolution apparatus also which acts as a factor. Okay, the factor relating to the dissolution apparatus like the design, size of the container, so several ml to the several liters, and shape of the container, nature of agitation. Okay, and factors relating to the dissolution fluid, the composition, like either it may be a water or dissolution medium is acidic buffer 0.1 normal HCl, or maybe a stimulated gastric fluids, or maybe intestinal fluids, and based on the viscosity, the volume, and maintenance of the sink conditions or non-sink conditions, it gradually, these are some of the factors that are related in the dissolution test conditions. And also process parameters like introduction of the dosage sample into dissolution apparatus, withdrawing of the sample, the sampling techniques, changing the dissolution fluid. So all these are common category of process parameters. And the ideal dissolution apparatus contain small important characteristics. The fabrication, dimensions, and position of all the components must be specified, and it should be reproducible from run to run time. Okay, so the fabrication, dimensions, and the position of all the components like the basket or shaft. Okay, so whatever, all should be placed in an equal position, and it should be specified and reproducible during the operating conditions. And the apparatus must be simple in design, easy to operate, and also it must be permit different controlled variables like the mild to moderate and non-turbulent liquid agitation process, and also provide minimum mechanical abrasion to the dosage form during the test period without disturbance of the microenvironmental conditions to dissolve the drug in suitable medium, and also maintain perfect sink conditions. Okay, and the evaporation part of the solvent medium must be eliminated, and the medium have to maintain at a fixed temperature that is at 37 degrees plus or minus 0.5 variation. Okay, so types of dissolution apparatus based on the absence or the presence of operations is generally closed compartment apparatus and open compartment. Continuous flow through cell apparatus is used. It maintains the perfect sink condition. And third one is the dialysis system, so which maintains of sink conditions, otherwise a large volume of that. Only the official or compendial methods completely based on USP method. Okay, so it completely briefly discussed here. So this is the dissolution apparatus, the padding and the basket along with the shaft. So the types of apparatus, there are generally two types of dissolution apparatus, like apparatus A and B. In case of apparatus A, which is generally used for tablets and capsules, not more than 18 millimeters long in diameter. Okay, so the closed compartment according to USP, the tablet basket apparatus. USP 1 is a basket type. Okay, the single tablet is placed in a small wire basket which is connected to the speed motor, so that the basket is immersed in a dissolution medium. So the dissolution medium here is either water or maybe 0.1 normal HCl or maybe phosphate buffer. So whatever the medium we have selected, so the basket is immersed into dissolution medium. And type 2 is paddle type, which is similar to the apparatus one, but here the basket is replaced by a paddle. Okay, so the dosage form is allowed to maintain sink condition to the bottom of the flask before stirring. Here the diagram shows the sampling point, the vessel, the paddle, and the capsule, a sinker. Okay, so and different types of dissolution apparatus according to their pharmacopoeias. So total 7 types of dissolution apparatus are available. In IP, only 2 types. One is the padding and another one is the basket type. It's vice versa in case of United States Pharmacopoeia. Rotating basket apparatus, paddle type, and apparatus 3 are reciprocating cylinder type. Apparatus 4 is flow through cell. 5th apparatus is paddle over the disc type apparatus. And 6th one is rotating cylinder apparatus, and 7th one is reciprocating paddle over the disc type. In British Pharmacopoeia, only 3 types of apparatus are available. One is basket, another one is paddle, next one is the flow through cell. European Pharmacopoeia like AP. Simply here also 3. In apparatus 1 is paddle, apparatus 2 is basket type, and third one is flow through cell apparatus. So these are the various types of dissolution apparatus. Apparatus 1 is rotating basket type apparatus. So the basket is made up of a stainless steel 316 grade is used in making the rotating basket apparatus. And simply the apparatus 2 is paddle type. It is rotating paddle type apparatus. Apparatus 3 is reciprocating cylinder apparatus. 4th one is flow through cell apparatus, and 5th one is the paddle over the disc type. Apparatus 6 is cylindrical apparatus or cylinder apparatus. 7th one is reciprocating disc apparatus. So the discs are maybe different types. Okay, so the resolution vessel, rotating paddle, the type, or according to USP, dissolution apparatus types and description are used, the rotating speed and the dosage form. The type 1 basket apparatus is generally the operating condition is 50 to 120 RPM revolutions per minute is required in case of immediate or delayed release tablets, immediate dosage form of tablets, and extended release tablets. And type 2 is paddle type apparatus. The rotating speed is 25 to 50 RPM. And also type 3 reciprocating apparatus, reciprocating cylinder type. The maintenance of rotating speed is 6 to 35 RPM. It is generally used for immediate release tablets and extended release tablets, like conventional type of dosage forms. Okay, and type 4 is flow through cell apparatus. It's not an applicable. The rotating speed is not applicable here. Both extended release and poorly soluble active pharmaceutical ingredients are used, are studied with the help of this flow through cell apparatus. And paddle over the disc and rotating cylinder. 5th and 6th type of apparatus is completely for the transdermal patches. Okay, and the 7th one is having 30 RPM and the extended release type of formulations is suitable. So the compendial dissolution apparatus types and their applications, but whatever we have said in the previous slide. So the resolution formulation is tested if the tablet is conventional type, go for the rotating basket type of dissolution apparatus. For the tablets or capsules or maybe controlled release products or suspensions, to select the rotating paddle type of apparatus. Okay, so the reciprocating cylinder is suitable for the controlled release type of formulations. Flow through cell apparatus is containing the poorly soluble drugs. Okay, the transdermal formulations, both paddle over the disc and cylindrical type apparatus is sufficient. And the another type of dissolution apparatus, the single basket tablet is placed in each flask. So the dissolution acceptance criteria and their limitations. Okay, so the dissolution testing and interpretation can be done by 3 stages: S1, S2, and S3. So S1, S2, S3 is nothing but the stages of dissolution testing performance and acceptance criteria. In stage 1, 6 tablets are to be taken. So no dosage unit is less than Q plus 5% variation. So what is Q? Q is nothing but a percent amount of drug that is dissolved in a given at a particular time interval. Okay, so Q is nothing but percentage of amount, a percentage of amount of drug that is dissolved in a given time period. It is called as Q. Okay, so in the first stage, 6 tablets are to be taken. No dosage unit is less than Q plus 5% variation is more than 85% or not less than 85% of the drug is to be dissolved here. And in case of stage 2, if the first stage is failed, then go for the another 6 tablets. So average total 12 dosage units S1 plus S2, which is greater than of more than 85% or not less than 85% of variation is to be determined here. The next one is sorry for the interrupt. So whatever the tablet that is either tablet or capsule, first we have to take the 6 tablet dosage units are to be taken. So among the 6, no dosage unit is less than Q plus 5% variation. It is 85% of the drug that is dissolved. Okay, if it is not in the limits, go for the next stage. Okay, in the case of second stage, average of total 12 dosage units are to be taken. So both 6 already in case of S1's total 6 tablets, and in second stage 6 tablets are to be taken. So average of total 12 dosage units are to be taken. So any no dosage unit is less than Q minus 15% variation. So not less than 85% of the drug is to be dissolved here. If it is also failed, then go for the third trial. Total 12 tablets to be taken and perform the dissolution apparatus. Among the average of 24 dosage units, not more than 2 dosage units are less than Q minus 15%, that is nothing but the 85%, and no dosage unit is less than 75% of the dissolution drug release pattern. If it is also failed, the batch is completely failed, rejected. Okay, so the stages S1, S2, and S3. So total average of 24 dosage units based on the necessity, we have to select it here. And next, objectives of the dissolution profile comparisons. So whatever the dissolution we have performed, the absorbance values with the help of spectrophotometric method, we can determine easily, and we have plot a graph like the time versus the concentration or cumulative amount of drug release. So based on that, we can easily predict the dissolution profiles of the test product and the approved drug product. So it is completely useful for development of bioequivalent drug products and also demonstrating the equivalence after the formulation changes. Okay, so and also bioweaver of the drug product, which is lower dose in proportion to the higher dose strength. Whatever the active ingredients or the same ingredients, the dissolution profiles comparison is very helpful. And some of the influence of parameters on dissolution rate of the drug is the diffusion coefficient, okay, and surface area of the solid, water and oil type of partitions, hydrophilicity and the lipophilicity, the concentration gradient and thickness of the stagnant formed thin film. Okay, all these parameters are responsible in case of the dissolution rate of a particular drug. First one is the diffusion coefficient. Okay, the symbol is T. Greater the value of diffusion coefficient, so it's simply that faster the dissolution of the drug. So while diffusion decreases, the viscosity increases in the dissolution medium and surface area of the solid surfaces. If particle size is less, it shows a greater surface area and leads to the faster absorption of the drug. So gets faster drug dissolution, finally leads to the faster absorption and faster therapeutic activity is increased. Okay, so it can be done by micronization of the drug. So micronization is nothing but reduce the particle size with the help of bulb mill or fluid energy mill. Okay, so based on that, we can easily reduce the particle size of the drug. And water or oil partitions, Ko by W values or Kw by O values, have the value of coefficient value, more the coefficient of drug hydrophilicity, and faster the dissolution in aqueous fluids. And also the concentration gradients. Okay, greater the concentration, faster the diffusion, and also the drug dissolution, finally increasing the drug solubility and thickness. More the thickness, less the diffusion layer, and also decreases the dissolution part. And what is the difference between the dissolution and disintegration? Disintegration is nothing but time required to break the particles of tablet into smaller granules with a specified size or smaller particles. Okay, with the specified conditions, with the temperature, pH, and pressure conditions. Where dissolution is processed, whatever the particles that are break in disintegration time, that solid particles enters into the solvent to yield a solution. Okay, so it controlled by the affinity between the solid surface and the solvent system. Okay, so the disintegration time is measuring the breakdown of dosage form, and dissolution is measuring the drug being solubilized or drug gets solubilized in suitable medium. So both are different. Okay, so whatever the tablet that splits into particles, that particles are entered into the selected medium or which acts as the dissolution medium, the particles that enter into the dissolution medium. So finally the drug release pattern is observed easily. And this is the flow diagram. This is the diagram shows that while we are taking the tablet, first step is disintegration. One tablet is come in contact with the fluid. The water uptake process is to be observed here and split into granules. Okay, smaller granules are finally lead to the limited dissolution process and drug dissolution solution drug that is present in the blood system and finally leads to the absorption and therapeutic activity. If some of the particles gets agglomerated and further undergo disintegration process, all the smaller particles are shows get into best dissolution one, and finally the solution that enters into the systemic circulation and also shows the drug dissolution. And rate of drug dissolution is greatly influenced by the disintegration of dosage form. So disintegration is a key role while increasing the drug dissolution property. Okay, so availability of the drug from dosage form, it completely depends upon the ability of the drug to disintegrate faster and the existing of the drug in dissolution medium. Okay, so the rate of drug dissolution is greatly influenced by disintegration of the dosage form. Enta fast ga the break avutundo ante fast ga solution loki penetrate avutundi. One solution loki enter ayindi ante ఈజీగా డ్రగ్ అబ్జార్ప్షన్ జరిగినట్లే. ఓకే, సో ఎప్పుడైతే డిసింటిగ్రేషన్ జరగకుండా అలానే వేసిన టాబ్లెట్ వేసినట్లే ఉంది అంటే కనుక అబ్జార్ప్షన్ జరగదండి, ఫైనల్ గా మనకి ఏ యాక్టివిటీ కూడా ఉండదు. ఓకే, సో అందుకే డిసింటిగ్రేషన్ జరగాలి అంటే ఈజీగా బైండర్ కాన్సన్ట్రేషన్ అండ్ హార్డ్నెస్ కూడా ఇంపార్టెంట్ ఫ్యాక్టర్ అవుతుంది. ఓకే, వన్స్ అమౌంట్ కాన్సన్ట్రేషన్ ఆఫ్ బైండర్ అండ్ హార్డ్నెస్ ఇంక్రీజ్ అయింది అంటే delayed of the disintegration is observed, and finally dissolution is also delayed, decreased. Okay, so these are interrelated factors, and total overall view here is tablets according to IP, BP and USP. Uncoated tablet అవుతుంది simple గా plain tablets, or film coated tablets and enteric coated tablet that is complete in the gastric intestinal region, and dispersible tablets. Okay, so soluble and effervescent tablets, and the standards of tablets like the evaluation part. Okay, overall గా ఇప్పుడు అంతా చెప్పుకున్నది final గా. Okay, active ingredient like drug content uniformity, uniformity of weight or simply weight variation test, and disintegration, dissolution. Okay, and the content uniformity or active content ingredient is simply done by assay. Okay, so 20 tablets within the limits 90% to 110%, the drug content activity is finally determined. The weight variation limits for tablets and capsules, and friability. Okay, 0.5 to 1% is the standard limits, so within the range it should be acceptable. If the deviations is observed, it should be rejected. Okay, so these are some of the references part. Okay, so with the help of these books we can easily study the evaluation of tablets and disintegration part, or maybe complete points, or completely study the aspects of tablets and types of tablets, compressibility index. Okay, so all these parameters observed in detail. Okay, so finally the dissolution, disintegration and weight uniformity, both the unofficial test and the official test values are easily identified here. So these are the evaluation part of the tablets. So general appearance, the color, order and size, thickness, hardness, disintegration part and the dissolution part. Okay, so among these, hardness, friability, disintegration and dissolution plays an important role. If the hardness is increased, or the binder concentration or the other excipients may be increased, it delay the disintegration process. Okay, so thank you. So today, just recollect the point. The disintegration part is simply that quickly the tablet breaks into the smaller particles. Okay. And the time required for the tablet to break into a smaller particles is called the disintegration one. Without any change in the chemical constituents, the tablet breaks, it is simply called the disintegration. And with changes in the chemical constituents, it is completely called the decomposition part. So this is the disintegration apparatus. It having 6 glass tubes with 3 inches size, and 10 mesh screen is placed at the bottom of the glass tubes. And here we have to maintain the temperature 37 plus or minus 2 degrees variance. And speed is completely number of cycles with a constant frequency of 29 to 32 per minute. Okay. So similar medium like distilled water or maybe stimulated gastric fluid or a stimulated intestinal fluid and phosphate buffers are used here. Same, the disintegration method for different tablets, for uncoated tablets and the coated tablet values. It is when we are taking the tablet through oral, the biological activity of the disintegration process is observed here. First, water diffusivity takes place and the film precipitation is formed with the tablet surface. The food factor, fatty meals, or maybe a drink is also affects the disintegration part. Okay, and the temperature is also placed important factor in tablet disintegration. And some problems that have occurred. First one is the mechanism one and influence of the storage conditions and influence of the formulation along with the process variables and influence of the medium like gastric fluids is also delay the or increasing the tablet disintegration one. These are the compendium values for different types of tablets, their medium and the limits are to be observed. And finally, the dissolution process is simply called the mass transfer of solid substances into the solution part. So here only 3 factors, right? The dissolution factors and the dissolution fluid and the process parameters. So this is one of the physicochemical properties that act in the absorption of the drugs. So different types of total 7 dissolution apparatus. Only small variations for IP and BP and UP is the paddle and basket type apparatus, and flow through cell is added. That's it. Okay. So disintegration is a subset of for the dissolution process. And here, whatever the tablet that is taken oral, that falls into disintegrate like small aggregates. The availability of the dosage form that completely depends upon the ability to disintegrate faster. So the rate of drug dissolution is greatly influenced by the disintegration of the dosage form. Okay, so thank you for your kind attention.
Good afternoon, ma'am. Hello, am I audible, ma'am? Hello, am I audible, ma'am?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Students, do you have any doubts? If you have any doubts, please drop a message in chat box.
So dissolution rate. So some persons asked the dissolution rate. So dissolution rate is nothing but whatever the particles. Okay, so మనం ఏవైతే తీసుకున్నామో టాబ్లెట్ కానివ్వండి, క్యాప్సూల్ కానివ్వండి, అది సొల్యూషన్ లోకి ఎంటర్ అయినప్పుడు కంప్లీట్ గా డిసింటిగ్రేషన్ జరిగి ఎంత ఫాస్ట్ గా డిసల్యూషన్ జరుగుతుంది అనేదే డిసల్యూషన్ రేట్ అవుతుంది. సో solution process అనేది ఏంటంటే whatever the particles, okay, the process of mass transfer of solid substances into a given solvent with a specific time period called as dissolution rate. Okay, so disintegration జరిగింది అంటే ఫాస్ట్ గా, దాంతో పాటు డిసల్యూషన్ కూడా బాగా జరిగినట్లు లెక్క. ఓకే, ఏవైతే పార్టికల్స్ నీకు ఆ వాటర్ కానివ్వండి, లేదు అంటే కనుక 0.1 నార్మల్ HCl యూజ్ చేసుకొని డిసల్యూషన్ పర్ఫామ్ చేస్తున్నప్పుడు నీ టాబ్లెట్ అనేది స్ప్లిట్ అవుతుంది, పార్టికల్స్ బ్రేక్ డౌన్ అవుతుంది. స్మాలర్ పార్టికల్స్ అవ్వచ్చు, లేదు అంటే లార్జర్ పార్టికల్స్. ఆ పార్టికల్స్ అనేవి కంప్లీట్ గా సొల్యూషన్ కింద కన్వర్ట్ అవుతూ ఉంటే, సో ఎంత టైంలో కన్వర్ట్ అవుతుంది అని డిటర్మైన్ చేయడం కోసమే ఈ డిసల్యూషన్ ఆపరేటర్స్ ని యూజ్ చేస్తూ ఉంటారు. ఓకే, సో దట్స్ ద note of the dissolution rate. It is the time to mass transfer the solid substances into the given solvent to form a clear solution. It's completely the affinity between the solid substances and the solvent nature. So tensile strength is an unofficial test. It's not an official test. Okay, so a compendium lono test anedi mention cheyaru. Just we have go for the strength of the tablet entundi and manam determine chesukotam kosam tensile strength, brittle fracture index, okay, and alane thickness, general appearance, ivanni kuda unofficial test anamata. Only official tests are weight uniformity, drug content, friability. Some part konni sarlu unofficial kuda antar friability anedi. Just but USP friability is an official evaluation tablet test avutundi. Okay, so tensile strength is an unofficial test.
Students, any questions?
So biopredictive tablet disintegration means మనం ఎప్పుడైతే టాబ్లెట్ ఓరల్ గా మనం ఎప్పుడు ఫీవర్ కానీ, ఫర్ ఎగ్జాంపుల్ ఫీవర్ కండిషన్స్ వచ్చిననుకోండి, ఈజీగా టాబ్లెట్ వేసుకుంటాం. సో టాబ్లెట్ కి వితౌట్ ఫుడ్, వితౌట్ టేకింగ్ ఎనీ ఫుడ్, ఓకే, సో అలా తీసుకున్నప్పుడు సమ్ ఎఫెక్ట్స్ అనేవి ఈజీగా అబ్జర్వ్ చేస్తాం. సో ఎప్పుడైనా టాబ్లెట్ తీసుకునే సమ్ ఆఫ్ ది టాబ్లెట్స్ ఫుడ్ తో తీసుకోకుండానే ఎర్లీగా వేసుకుంటారు, లైక్ బీపీ టాబ్లెట్, పెంటప్రోజోల్స్, ఇవన్నీ కూడా. ఓకేనా అండి? సో గ్యాస్ టాబ్లెట్స్ కానివ్వండి, ఇవన్నీ ఎర్లీగా తీసుకుంటారు. ఓకే, సో అలా బయోప్రిడిక్టివ్ అంటే మన బాడీలో ఫుడ్ ఇంటేక్ వల్ల ఆ డిసింటిగ్రేషన్ ఎఫెక్ట్ ఎలా జరుగుతుంది అనేది. ఓకే, సో సింప్లీ ఇట్స్ ఎన్ డిఫరెంట్ పార్ట్. సో బాగా హెవీ ఫుడ్ తీసుకొని కనుక మీరు టాబ్లెట్ తీసుకున్నట్లయితే ఇట్ టేక్స్ సమ్ టైమ్, అంటే డిలే ఆఫ్ ది డిసింటిగ్రేషన్ అనేది అబ్జర్వ్ చేస్తాము. ఓకే, సో మినిమం మీల్ కండిషన్స్ ఫాలో అవుతూ ప్రాపర్ administration of the tablet, it finally shows the good disintegration activity, and finally the absorption part is also increased, and the therapeutic activity, Okay, the pharmacological activity is finally increased. Okay. Not only the food, the water, okay, the liquid intake, okay, whatever the fluid intake and the food pattern is also delay the disintegration activity. So biopredictive is nothing but the biological activity when the tablet is placed in our into our body, the activity, how it get predicts. So USP methods for uncoated tablets is simply conventional, like basket type of apparatus are used. So it's suitable for uncoated tablets. The basket type apparatus is simply suitable. Or maybe in case of paddle type. So this is the dosage forms, like uncoated tablets, like immediate release. Okay. So, and delayed release type of tablets, they are not coated. So type 1, 2, and 3. So these three apparatus like paddle and reciprocating cylinder and paddle type of apparatus are mostly suitable for the dissolution process according to USP type. So with the high dose concentration of a tablet is used, so it finally shows the adverse effects. So how much of the dose is required is sufficient to take the tablet, and high dose is not required to take the tablet. Based on the nature, whether may be adult or infants and neonates, pediatric or geriatrics, type of dose is simply determines based on the half-life of the drug, the dose is predicted in formulation category. If the half-life is very low, okay, so based on the type of dosage form, the tablet dose is fixed. You have to take the high doses of the drug, it simply leads to other adverse effects like dizziness. Okay, so based on the condition, based on the situation, based on this deceased person or based on the patient, it shows its activity.
Yeah, ma'am. A question is from Vijay. Is disintegration of tablets are affected by any factors? If so, what are they?
So disintegration factors are completely different types of. First one is the hardness and the amount of excipients. If the concentration of excipients like lubricants or maybe binders, the first thing is the binder concentration is increased, the disintegration is delayed. And hardness, if the hardness is in minimum condition, it finally disintegrates the tablet easily. If the hardness and the amount of the concentration of binder is increased, it delays the disintegration property. Finally, the absorption part is very low. If absorption is less, absorption of the drug is less, therapeutic or pharmacological activity is also low. So the minimum concentration of tablet hardness and the excipients, the additives like binders, lubricants. If we have increased the disintegration time, a faster rate, so we can add such super disintegrants. For gastroretentive problems, Pantop is used.
Is there any side effects due to these factors regarding disintegration?
No, not any side effects, sir, but it delays the absorption activity and the dissolution time is delayed. If the accumulation of the tablet is observed here, if accumulation part in our body, it completely leads to other accumulation of the drug, excess accumulation. It may be liver or damage. So accumulation of the drug apart in our body completely damaged to our organs.
Okay, and one more question from Harish. Biopharmaceutics classification once again, please.
Okay, BCS classification system is nothing but biopharmaceutical classification system. Drug that is soluble outunda, permeable outunda. So A category కింద ఉంది. So A type of dosage form ని మనం convert చేయాలి అన్నా సరే, this BCS classification system is very helpful. So అవి ఏంటంటే జనరల్ గా 4 types ఉంటాయి. Class 1, class 2, 3 and 4. Okay, so class 1 is having high solubility and high permeability ఉంటుంది. Okay నండి, సో ఏంటంటే ఈజీగా సాల్యుబుల్ అవుతుంది. సో సాల్యుబిలిటీ ఉంది అంటే ఫైనల్ గా పర్మిబిలిటీ క్యారెక్టర్ కూడా ఉంది కాబట్టి బాడీలోకి మెంబ్రెయిన్ సెల్స్ లోకి ఈజీగా పెనట్రేట్ జరుగుతుంది. అలానే అబ్జార్ప్షన్ ఎక్కువగా ఉంటుంది. సో అబ్జార్ప్షన్ ఎక్కువగా ఉంది అంటే కనుక ఫైనల్ గా థెరప్యూటిక్ యాక్టివిటీ కూడా ఉన్నట్లు బ్లడ్ స్ట్రీమ్ లోకి ఈజీగా పెనట్రేట్ అవుతుంది. సో క్లాస్ 1 డ్రగ్స్ ఆర్ హై సాల్యుబిలిటీ అండ్ హై పర్మిబిలిటీ. ఓకే, సో ఇక్కడ ఏ లిమిటేషన్స్ లేవు. బట్ క్లాస్ 2కి వచ్చినప్పటికి ఏంటి అంటే ది లిమిటేషన్ పార్ట్ ఈస్ సాల్యుబిలిటీ. పర్మిబిలిటీ ఉంది. ఓకే, ఎంట్రాప్మెంట్ ఇంటూ మెంబ్రెయిన్ సెల్స్. The cell is made up of bilayered cells కాబట్టి aqueous and fatty cells ఉంటాయి. సో aqueous లోకి సాల్యుబుల్ జరిగితేనే కదా నీకు ఈజీగా పెనట్రబిలిటీ కూడా అబ్జర్వ్ చేయగలిగేది. ఇఫ్ ఇన్ కేస్ అదే లో సాల్యుబిలిటీ ఉంది కాబట్టి అబ్జార్ప్షన్ ప్రాపర్టీ ఏం లేదు అక్కడ. సో అబ్జార్ప్షన్ లేదు, పెనట్రేషన్ ఎక్కువ ఉంది. సో ఇక్కడ సాల్యుబిలిటీ ఎన్హాన్స్ చేసుకుంటానికి సాల్యుబిలిటీ ఎన్హాన్సర్స్ ని యూజ్ చేయొచ్చు. నెక్స్ట్ క్లాస్ ఇస్ క్లాస్ 3. హై సాల్యుబిలిటీ బట్ పర్మిబిలిటీ. సాల్యుబిలిటీ ఉంది, వాట్ ఎవర్ ద డ్రగ్ అవి ఈజీగా సొల్యూషన్ లోకి సాల్యుబుల్ అయిపోయి సొల్యూషన్ ఫామ్ లోకి జరిగింది, కానీ penetrability is not there. So the variable absorption and the owning permeability limitation is observed in class 3 drugs. In class 4, solubility and permeability both are in low condition. Okay, so రెండింటిని enhance చేయాలి. So రెండింటిని enhance చేయాలి అంటే గనక it's a lot of time taken. So mostly the manufacturers or investigators mostly go for the class 2 and class 3 drugs. So any one parameter is to be enhanced, either maybe solubility or maybe permeability. So based on that solubility, the rate limiting step in dissolution process is somewhat changes. So the first one is high solubility and high permeability, it's well observed. And the low and high category, it's variable because one property is low and one other property is high, that is low solubility and high permeability. Okay, and next one is high solubility and low permeability, example like insulin. And next one, low solubility and the low permeability drugs. So both the parameters are very low.
And one more question from Surya ma'am. Why only dissolution tests are used to check the quality of drugs?
So dissolution test is an alternative method for the in vivo. So ఒక మనిషిని కనుగొని తీసుకొని మనం perform చేయలేం based on the ethical considerations. A new tablet synthesize or whenever before entering the market or go for the in vivo studies. So this in vitro dissolution testing model gives 85% of the drug release. So ఎంత రిలీజ్ అవుతుంది ఏంటి అనేది ఈజీగా ఈ మెథడ్ లో డిటర్మైన్ చేయొచ్చు. Okay, so based on that, the bioavailability part and bioequivalence studies nuvu assess chesko chance untundi kabatti in vitro dissolution testing is a most important part in case of evaluation of the tablets. ఒక మనిషిని తీసుకొని వాటిలో బాడీలోకి ఇన్కార్పొరేట్ చేసి ఎంత రిజల్యూషన్ జరిగింది, సో ఎట్లా ఏంటి అనేది ఈజీగా స్టడీ చేయలేం కాబట్టి వాట్ ఎవర్ దర్ బయాలజికల్ సిస్టమ్ వీ హ్యావ్ టు క్రియేట్ దట్ ఎన్విరాన్మెంట్ అవుట్ సైడ్. Okay, that is simply called in vitro dissolution testing. మన బాడీలో ఏ బయాలజికల్ ఫ్లూయిడ్ సిస్టమ్స్ అయితే ఉన్నాయో అవే వాటిని యూస్ చేసుకొని మనం బయట ఎన్విరాన్మెంట్ క్రియేట్ చేస్తాం. సో ఆ క్రియేట్ చేయడం కోసం డిజల్యూషన్ ఆపరేటర్స్ అనే సెటప్ ని డిజైన్ చేస్తాం. ఓకే, సో దాంట్లో డిఫరెంట్ కేటగిరీస్, సింపుల్ గా శాంపుల్ విత్డ్రా చేసుకోవాలి, అలానే శాంపుల్ ఈజీగా ఇంట్రడ్యూస్ చేసుకోవడానికి, అండ్ ద కండిషన్స్, వాట్ ఎవర్ ద మూమెంట్స్ దట్ ఆర్ motility we are present in our biological system. It is simply but the nature of hesitation, the speed of hesitation. Okay, so all these are we are created outside environment. So based on that, we can easily assess the how much of percent of the drug that is dissolved in a suitable in a given medium. So it's an important, it is required parameter to evaluate the tablet. Once it can done, then go for next one is in vivo studies, the pharmacokinetic data.
And why intro methods are used in it?
Why?
In vitro methods are used in it. Sorry, ma'am.
Sorry, sir. Can you ask again?
Why in vitro methods are used in it?
Why in vitro methods
are used in it? Please ask Mr. Surya.
So in vitro methods is nothing but the whatever the dissolution మన బాడీలో ఏదైతే జరుగుతుందో ఇన్ వైవో అంటాం. సో ఇన్ వైవో, ఇన్ విట్రో. ఇన్ వైవో అంటే మన బయాలజికల్ సిస్టమ్ లో జరిగేది. మనం టాబ్లెట్ తీసుకుంటాం, తీసుకోగానే విత్ ఇన్ 1 hour or 2 hours లో రిలీఫ్ ఇస్తుంది. ఫర్ ఎగ్జాంపుల్ హెడేక్ అవ్వచ్చు, ఫీవర్ అవ్వచ్చు. మీరు పారాసిటమాల్ టాబ్లెట్ తీసుకున్నప్పుడు విత్ ఇన్ 4 hours లో మీకు రిలీఫ్ ఇస్తుంది. అంటే ఏంటి, అది కంప్లీట్ గా ఫ్లూయిడ్స్ లోకి డ్రగ్ కంప్లీట్ గా బ్రేక్ అయ్యి డిసల్యూషన్ లోకి మీన్ బ్లడ్ ఫ్లూయిడ్స్ లోకి గ్యాస్ట్రిక్ ఫ్లూయిడ్స్ కానివ్వండి ఆర్ ఇన్స్టైనల్ ఫ్లూయిడ్స్ లోకి మీకు కంప్లీట్ గా సొల్యూషన్ ఫామ్ లోకి అబ్జర్వ్ చేసి కంప్లీట్ బ్లడ్ స్ట్రీమ్ లో అబ్జర్వ్ అయిన తర్వాత మీకు రిలీఫ్ అనేది ఇస్తుంది. అది పర్సన్ టు పర్సన్ మనం ఒక మనిషిని తీసుకొని చేయలేం కాబట్టి ఆ ఇన్ వైవో కండిషన్స్ నే బయట పర్ఫార్మ్ చేస్తాం కాబట్టి ద నేమ్ ఇట్ సెల్ఫ్ డిఫైన్డ్ యాజ్ ఇన్ విట్రో. బయట ఎన్విరాన్మెంట్ ని క్రియేట్ చేస్తున్నాం కాబట్టి ఇట్స్ అన్ ఇన్ విట్రో టెస్ట్ అవుతుంది. ఓకే,
students, any questions? And again a question from Surya madam, explain about factors.
Okay sir, so factors అంటే ఏంటమ్మా, సో ఇన్ విట్రో డిసల్యూషన్ మనకు బయట ఎన్విరాన్మెంట్ ని క్రియేట్ చేస్తున్నాం కాబట్టి ఒక ఏదో ఒకటి క్రియేట్ చేసే కన్నా సో క్రియేట్ చేసేటప్పుడు సమ్ ఆఫ్ ది ఫ్యాక్టర్స్ అనేది రెస్పాన్సిబుల్ అవుతాయి. సో అది ఏంటంటే ఇన్ విట్రో డిసల్యూషన్ చేసేటప్పుడు ద డిసల్యూషన్ ఆపరేటర్స్. సో ఎక్కువ స్పేస్ ఉంది కదా, నేను ఎక్కువ డిజైన్ చేసేసుకొని హ్యూజ్ ఎక్విప్మెంట్ ని డిజైన్ చేస్తాను అంటే ఇట్స్ నాట్ ఏ గుడ్ సైన్. సో ద డిజైన్ పార్ట్ and size of the container. Our stomach requires only takes 1 liter is sufficient. అంతకన్నా ఎక్కువ తాగలుగుతామా? లేదు. సో just several ml to the several liters. So based on that condition, the size of the container, design and shape of the container, okay, the nature of the hesitation. So that whatever the movement that are present in our biological system, we have to create the outside. సో ఇవన్నీ కూడా రెస్పాన్సిబుల్ అవుతుంది. దాంట్లో ఫస్ట్ ఫ్యాక్టర్ డిసల్యూషన్ ఆపరేటర్స్. సో ఆ ఆపరేటర్స్ ని నువ్వు ఎలా చేయాలి, వాటిల్లో ఏ థింగ్స్ ని నువ్వు ప్రిడిక్ట్ చేసుకోవాలి. ద ఫస్ట్ వన్ డిజైన్, ఓకే, అండ్ అలానే ద సైజ్ ఆఫ్ ది కంటైనర్, షేప్ ఆఫ్ ది కంటైనర్, ఏ షేప్ లో ఉంటే బెటర్ గా ఉంటుంది, రౌండ్ బాటమా లేకపోతే ఫ్లాట్ గా ఉండాలా, లేకపోతే సిలిండ్రికల్ షేప్ లో ఉండాలా, ఎలా బాస్కెట్ ఏంటి అనేది. ఓకే, అండ్ నేచర్ ఆఫ్ హెజిటేషన్, ఆసిలేటింగ్ మూమెంట్స్ ఇస్తున్నా లేకపోతే రొటేటింగ్ ఆర్ మేబీ స్టిర్రింగ్, ద స్పీడ్ ఆఫ్ హెజిటేషన్, ఎంత స్పీడ్ తో నీకు ప్యాడిల్ ఆర్ బాస్కెట్ ఆర్ అదర్ ఇవన్నీ ఎలా రొటేట్ అవ్వాలి, ఆపరేటింగ్ కండిషన్ ఏంటి టు గెట్ ది ప్రిసిషన్ ఆఫ్ ది డేటా. So this is one of the factor responsible in intro dissolution testing method. Next one is dissolution fluids. Okay, so మన దాంట్లో ఓన్లీ యాసిడ్ మాత్రమే ఉండదు, ఆల్కలీ కండిషన్స్ కూడా ఉంటాయి, రైట్. సో ద కాంపోజిషన్స్ అన్నమాట, ఇద్దరు వాటర్ అవ్వచ్చండి, లేకపోతే 0.1 నార్మల్ HCl or maybe phosphate buffers like alkali 7.5 pH or 6.8 phosphate buffers or 7.2 phosphate buffers. Alani the gastric fluids 4.2 and simultaneously intestinal fluids whatever. So e compositions kuda e fluids kuda responsible avutayi dissolution category lo. Water lo dissolve chesedi easy ga water lo soluble ayye తీసుకెళ్ళి యాసిడ్ లో కానివ్వండి ఆల్కలీలో వేసి డిసల్యూషన్ చేయండి అంటే ఇట్స్ నాట్ ఎ కరెక్ట్ థింగ్, డిసల్యూషన్ జరగదు. ఓకే, సో ఏ టైప్ ఆఫ్ సాల్యుబిలిటీ అది దేంట్లో సాల్యుబుల్ అవుతుందో we have to select a particular type of dissolution medium. Okay, so and viscosity, so ఎక్కువ థిక్ ఎక్కువ విస్కస్ నేచర్ ఉన్న సొల్యూషన్స్ తీసుకొచ్చి డిసల్యూషన్ చేయండి అన్న ఇట్స్ నాట్ ఎ ఫేర్ థింగ్. సో జనరల్లీ కంప్లీట్ డిసల్యూషన్ అనేది అబ్జర్వ్ చేయలేము. ఓకే, అండ్ ఆల్సో మెయింటెనెన్స్ ఆఫ్ ది టెంపరేచర్. సో మన బాడీ టెంపరేచర్ ఎట్లా అయితే ఉంటుందో సేమ్ అలానే హ్యావ్ టు మెయింటైన్ ది టెంపరేచర్ అవుట్ సైడ్. Simply it's generally that 7 degrees plus or minus 0.5 variation. Temperature in disintegration and dissolution is slightly variation. In disintegration part the temperature is 37 plus or minus 2 degrees variation. In dissolution part 37 degrees plus or minus 0.5 degrees variation. Okay, the bath and the bowl temperature and maintenance of sink condition. సో కంటిన్యూస్ గా మన బాడీలో ఫ్లూయిడ్స్ అనేవి రిపీటెడ్ గా వస్తూనే ఉంటాయి కాబట్టి ఇక్కడ కూడా శాంపుల్ విత్డ్రా చేస్తాము. సో 900 ml తీసుకుంటున్నాం లేదా 1 లీటర్ తీసుకుని పర్ఫామ్ చేస్తాం డిసల్యూషన్ అనేది ఎవ్రీ 5 minutes ఆర్ 1 hour బేస్డ్ ఆన్ ది టైప్ ఆఫ్ డోసేజ్ ఫామ్. సో కన్వెన్షనల్ అయితే 1 hour పర్ఫామ్ చేస్తామండి, ఇది సస్టైన్ ఆర్ కంట్రోల్ ఆర్ ఎక్స్టెండెడ్ రిలీజ్ అయితే కనుక 8 hours 12 hours 24 hours వరకు డిసల్యూషన్ పర్ఫామ్ చేస్తాం. సో ఎవ్రీ 5 minutes కి ఆర్ 1 hour కి శాంపుల్ విత్డ్రా చేస్తూ ఉంటే 900 ml ప్లేస్ చేసినప్పుడు 5 ml రీప్లేస్ అవుతూ విత్డ్రా చేస్తూ ఉంటే ద వాల్యూమ్ ఆఫ్ డిసల్యూషన్ ఫ్లూయిడ్ గెట్ డిక్రీస్డ్. సో ఇక్కడ సింక్ కండిషన్ మెయింటైన్ చేయలేము. ఓకే, ఫస్ట్ థింగ్ వీ హ్యావ్ టు మెయింటైన్ ది సింక్ కండిషన్. సో 900 ml ఫస్ట్ లో ఇనిషియల్ ఎంత ఉందో లాస్ట్ ఎండింగ్ ఆఫ్ ది ఎక్స్పెరిమెంట్ సేమ్ వాల్యూమ్ ఆఫ్ dissolution medium you have to maintain. Okay, and also the concentration gradients increase అవుతూ ఉంటుంది, డ్రగ్ అట్లానే ఉండదు కదా, కంప్లీట్ గా రిలీజ్ అవుతూ ఉంటుంది. ఓకే, and the process parameters dosage sample like tablet, capsule and syrup suspension emulsions and sampling techniques and change the dissolution parameters. So all these factors are responsible or influence the effect of the dissolution rate.
Students, are there any questions?
How station speed or station of speed affects the dissolution property, right? So if above or below, whatever the movement, okay, so the gastric fluid nature, so slow movements కానివ్వండి లేదు ఎక్కువ నువ్వు రొటేషన్ పెట్టుకున్నా it affects the dissolution. So ఎక్కువ స్పీడ్ పెంచేస్తాం అనుకోండి రెజల్యూషన్స్ ఎక్కువ రొటేషన్ పర్ మినిట్ ని మీరు హై స్పీడ్ లో పెట్టేస్తే కనుక కంప్లీట్ గా ఏమంటే ప్రిసిపిటేషన్ అనేది ఫామ్ అయ్యే ఛాన్సెస్ ఉంటుంది. వన్స్ ప్రిసిపిటేషన్ ఫామ్ అయింది లేదు అదర్ రియాక్షన్స్ కనుక అబ్జర్వ్ చేసాము అంటే డ్యూ టు హీట్ జనరేట్ అవుతుంది కాబట్టి కంప్లీట్ గా కెమికల్ కాన్స్టిట్యూయెంట్స్ అనేవి డిగ్రేడ్ అవుతూ ఉంటాయి. సో దట్ మినిమం ఎజిటేషన్ స్పీడ్ ఇస్ రిక్వైర్డ్ ఇన్ కేస్ ఆఫ్ డిసల్యూషన్ టెస్ట్ apparatus. ఎక్కువ పెంచకూడదు అలానే తక్కువ కాకుండా సో మీడియం. సో వాట్ ఎవర్ suitable type of dosage forms, extended type of release అయితే bucket tablets కి or films కి అయితే minimum agitation speed అనేది రొటేషన్ per minute రొటేషన్స్ agitation అనేది మెయింటైన్ చేస్తూ ఉండాలి.
Any questions? Yes, students. Still we have 15 minutes. If you have any questions, please don't hesitate to ask. Okay, ma'am, I think they don't have any questions. Shall we close the session, ma'am?
Okay, sir.
Right, ma'am. Thank you, ma'am. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Thank you for giving this opportunity again.
Thank you. Students, are there anyone? Those who are not filled the feedback form, please fill it. I'll give you 5 minutes. Right, thank you.